Boston Art Club exhibit of 1934, his Charles Lindbergh bust. And this was a retrospective. He had 80 or 90 works of art in this 1934 exhibit. He was in his 70s. This was like a high point of his career. And not a lot of artists were afforded this kind of opportunity to have such a large, exhibit in their honor, and it was reviewed in all the local newspapers. Everybody knew about it. So Charles Lindbergh was included in the exhibit, and I'll just give you some history just quickly on Lindbergh and then his visit to Boston. So on May 20th, 1927, Charles Lindbergh took off from Roosevelt Field on Long Island and flew more than 3,600 miles in 33 hours, landing safely in Paris. The feat propelled him instantly into the status of a cultural icon, and it would change his life forever. Shortly after returning to the United States, Lindbergh began a 3-month nationwide tour funded by the Guggenheim family that included stops in 92 cities and 48 states. Boston was the 3rd stop on the tour. He arrived in the city on July 22nd, 1927, to immense fanfare. During the 2.5-day visit, he was honored with a 9-mile parade through Boston, a celebration in the Common that drew 200,000 people, another huge gathering in front of the State House, and an evening event at the Boston Arena, which is known today as Matthews Arena, that filled that arena to capacity at 12,000 people. And a Boston Herald report described the scene that night at the arena. Quote, long before 8 o'clock, the arena was filled. The crowds gathered outside taxed the strength of more than 200 policemen in their efforts to gain admittance to the building. From every window and rooftop in the vicinity of the arena, people peered down the main streets for a glimpse of Lindbergh. Never in the history of the arena was such a throng in its immediate vicinity. When Lindbergh made his appearance that night, the paper goes on to say, quote, the floodgates of enthusiasm were unloosed. Women shrieked with sheer joy. They danced and cried. Men shouted hoarsely and others cheered with abandon. Children screamed their delight. The joy at the arrival was almost unbelievable. And that at that event, Boston Mayor Nichols presented Lindbergh with a gift from the city of Boston. And that gift was a bronze statue of Cyrus Dallin's Appeal to the Great Spirit. Dallin was not immune to Lindbergh mania. He created not 1 but 2 busts of Lindbergh in anticipation of the aviator's arrival in Boston. The busts could be seen by the public at the Caproni Galleries on Washington Street in Boston. Dallin drew on 2 different very popular press photos of Lindbergh at the time to model each one of the busts, and I've got actually the one that he, I'll make this more permanent in our display, but you can see he really looked at this photo and did this bust with it. So there are 2 photos, one of Lindbergh kind of looking into the sky dreamily, and another where he's staring straight ahead. And we made the first bust where Lindbergh was staring straight ahead from that first photo. And that first bust was called the Viking of the Air. That was a nickname that Lindbergh was given after his transatlantic crossing, and also the reason why on both busts Dallin included these wings to reference the Viking of the Air. So the first bust depicted the aviator with his eyes focused straight ahead on the monumental task in front of him. The second bust, titled The Vision, which is the one we have, features Lindbergh's head tilted slightly back, looking up, absorbed in his thoughts. Boston Globe art critic A.J. Philpott described the idealized qualities of Lindbergh's face in this bust. Quote, the eyes are the eyes of a dreamer. The mouth and chin show a kind of determination which Lindbergh displayed in his flight. It's the kind of head the old Grecian sculptors loved to put on their gods, and it is all very beautifully modeled. So our bust was produced by the Boston plaster casting firm, P.P. Caproni and Brother, and it was part of their catalog of offerings in 1927. Not just 1927, they offered reproductions of this for years.